Hi there. This is a little recording that I'm going to answer some questions that were left over from the last Getting Well Naturally class. And some of them are pretty useful, pretty, good for other people to hear as well. So the first one is from Frances, and she says, I have a few questions. Number one, she's asking about my thoughts on hormone replacement therapy. And number two, what is the cause of transient global amnesia? And number three, could someone with edema do a castor oil sweat bath? So, question number one, my thoughts on hormone replacement therapy. I go back and forth on that. It's very individual. Some people need some support. And when their body quits producing estrogen or testosterone or something that's critical for the psychological makeup, then you need support. If you can get it by taking glandulars, that is an option. If that's not strong enough, then maybe glandulars plus amino acids might be an option. That might do it. If that doesn't do it, then some natural um, medications, some natural prescriptions, like Armor for thyroid, for instance, instead of a synthetic uh, thyroid thyroid medication. But do what you need to do. Everybody's got a different approach. I did not need any hormone replacement therapy. And I think we are supposed to change our consciousness. Let me say it this way. I think that when we hit 50, 51, 52, 55, both men and women are supposed to have a different focus in terms of consciousness. And somehow the focus on hormone replacement therapy to keep you young and keep your sexual juices up and running, that is not the focus when you're 50. That's the focus when you're 20. But you're done with all that by 50. So we are supposed to then focus on the world, building the world, developing the world, etc. Taking good care of ourselves so that we contribute to making a better world. Not having, well, let me, well, let's leave it at that. Okay. Um, okay. So, and there's some talk then, and I remember reading this when I was in school, studying, naturopathic medicine. There was some argument by some women saying men just want us to take the hormone replacement therapy because they want somebody who's ready to hop into bed at a moment's notice. And that's not the attitude of somebody who's 55 or 60, and rightly so. So, since men were the medical field for the most part, they got blamed for a lot of stuff. I don't know if that's valid or not. Um, I do know that consciousness and body function is supposed to change after 50, but we don't often let it become what it is meant to become. We're in there fiddling, taking all kinds of stuff. And so I don't know that we really know clearly what we are to become after 55. So most people fall apart because they don't take care of themselves. That to me is more important than hormone replacement therapy. Take care of yourself. Nutrition, exercise, detox, water, enough sleep, reduce stress, and so on and so on. Okay. Two, what is the cause of transient global amnesia? Typically, there is some kind of shutdown. It's temporary in blood flow to the brain, and that's not good. It's like an ischemia or ischemic attack in the brain and very transient. And sometimes that is, and this is a suspicion of mine, I don't have any evidence. It appears to be related to electromagnetic exposure in somebody that's really, really sensitive or really old, and they have not taken good care of themselves. And so they're overly sensitive to electromagnetic fields. So there are things you can take to help with that. Um, Phosphatidylcholine is one of them. Then there's all kinds of herbs that help with memory and things like that. But that's transient global amnesia is not the same as a little memory problem. So, and then three, could someone with edema do a castor oil sweat bath? Yes. Yes, you can. It would be good for you. You would sweat. So, and it's always, always good to have a spotter or somebody hanging around outside the bathroom when you're in that tub and you're sweating your you know what off. Somebody who just says, "Are you okay in there? How you doing in there?" So, yeah, that it's okay. Okay, good questions, Francis. And then Michelle says, please expand on your reference to earwax, ways to reduce or resolve. Um, I don't know what I said that I might expand on, but I do know that earwax can be helped by candling, and that's a major way of reducing or removing earwax. When the body is out of balance chemically, you're going to produce more or less earwax. Okay. So that's the first thing to think about is your pH in balance. Are you eating the right foods? Are you eating a lot of junk? Et cetera, et cetera. The ears are a place where the body can dump toxins. And so it will. And for some people, that's an enormous amount of gunk comes out through the ears. For other people, it's the sinuses or maybe the eyes, have little crusties around them all the time, or the lungs, always, coughing up junk. So the main thing is get yourself in balance, supply yourself with everything you need, do your detox, and see if the ear thing kind of fades away. You might be surprised. If it doesn't, in the meantime, you need help, just clean your ears and do some candling. Okay? All right. So this is a question from Irina, and she says, what is the best way to be when you are having a cold or flu? Is it a good idea to eat some light meals or not? Obviously, drinking water is necessary, but I'm never quite sure about the food. And then she says, thanks. So, things to be aware of. Whenever you have any kind of cold or flu, any kind of illness, you should stop eating completely because eating takes so much energy that the immune system stops working. And it just takes that much longer to get rid of a cold. Even if you have a sore throat or strep throat, stop eating. Drink water. You could have, a little bit of herbal tea and maybe a bit of that water, but basically don't eat because that frees up the immune system to do its job lickety split and you will heal much faster. The second thing to be aware of is that bacteria cannot survive in an alkaline environment. Bacteria loves an acid environment, but it doesn't like alkaline. Virus is just the opposite. Viruses cannot survive in an acid environment. It loves an alkaline environment. So you kind of have to know, if you get a cold, is it a bacterial infection or is it a viral infection? So, and then you just adjust accordingly. Your pH is everything. So, that is something, it's not easy to know what your pH is, but you'll know when you're getting better if you stop eating. Okay. And if you know it's a bacterial infection, then you want to move way over to the citrus and fruits side of things because those alkalinize the body. Carrot juice, prune juice, apple, well, maybe not so much apple juice, but a lot of orange, grapefruit, lemon juice. Yeah, those are very good when you have a bacterial infection. So if you have a viral infection, you're best not to eat anything. Okay. Okay, Sharon says, could you please include some information on how we can heal if we are extremely electrosensitive, especially after being severely debilitated by an electrical smart meter? So, what do we do about food, nutrition, or energy? What would work? That's a good question, Sharon. Most people that are extremely electrosensitive are way out of balance pH wise. So that's one of the things. You're going to hear me talk about pH a lot. And actually, there's a question in here about that, about pH. Because if you are too out of whack, especially if you're too alkaline, then you're going to end up being extremely sensitive to electromagnetic frequencies and smart meters and things like that. So, the best thing is to pay attention or to start with pH. What are you eating? Is the food alkalinizing? You can find charts on the internet that show you what foods alkalinize you and which foods acidify you. Keep that in mind. The next thing is you really need to have all of the aminos in you and functioning. Amino acids should be taken at night, 3 to 4 capsules on an empty stomach is what, Dr. Gonzalez used to recommend, and that helps. It generates so much healing and so much balancing, and it helps with electromagnetic sensitivity, okay? Um, you could also eat highly, nutrient-dense foods that are known for um, for their aminos. Milk, eggs, cheese, beef, chicken has some, yes, lamb, pork, uh, all of those things. Very, very nutrient dense in terms of, of aminos. Um, the other thing that helps is detox. Once you have a lot of cells that are oversensitized, detoxing becomes really important, and you would have to understand that you're kind of going to wait till those cells. And let me say it this way: you're going to be electrosensitive until all those cells are gone, till they've died off. So the die off is going to happen naturally, but that can happen a little quicker with good detox. Coffee enema, liver flush, colon sweep. And that brings me to the last thing that would be very, very helpful, and that is having your gut bacteria in balance. You have to restore the lining of the gut, the mucus lining, and you have to have the right probiotics in there, and they have to be colony forming units that give birth to a whole variety of probiotics. So that's critical. Once you're in balance, you'll be much less susceptible to electromagnetism. Okay. Okay, and you're not the only one that's dealing with that kind of stuff. Lots of people. And why? Because we live in a world that's full of electromagnetic frequencies and we're making it worse and we're getting less healthy, more and more out of balance. Those two things don't go together. They don't work together very well. Okay, let's see. Dawn says, is it possible to heal structural problems like bulging discs, torn labrum, vertebral bone deterioration, etc.? Yes, absolutely. So, a couple things. If you have a bulging disc, um, then acupuncture helps. The right diet helps. A little bit of stretching and exercise helps. And it helps a lot. Okay. It doesn't help overnight, but it makes a big difference. Breath work, oh my. If you know how to do breath work, you can make miracles happen in a very short period of time, especially with bulging discs. If you are, if you're in really severe pain, I would say get some kind of painkiller going. There are homeopathics that help with pain. There are frequencies on the BCX that help with pain. And of course, there's drugs, even aspirin. So, yeah, it's hard to focus when you're in pain. So don't live with pain. Figure out how to fix it. Torn labrum, that just needs time to heal. And you need to have, you can't be having any kind of yeast infection. That slows down the healing to something dramatically. Okay. So that, keep that in mind. Bone deterioration and degeneration, whether it's in your back, your leg, your ankle, your knee, whatever it is, you have to take calcium enough to restore or get you the full amount of calcium you need each day. For a full adult male, that's 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams of calcium per day. For a full grown adult female, that's 1,200 to 1,500 milligrams per day. Now, some of that's going to come through your food, but typically you're going to have to supplement. A lot of the food that we have has nothing in it. It's not really food. It's factory food lookalikes. So you have to take some calcium, magnesium. If you say, let's say you eat maybe 500 milligrams of calcium over the course of the day, then you need 1,000 milligrams in a supplement. If you're taking calcium in supplemental form, you should probably take magnesium with it. So, and the ratio is 2 calciums to 1 magnesium. So 1,000 milligrams of calcium, 500 milligrams of magnesium. And if you're trying to regenerate bone, you need to exercise. You need to drink more water. Structured water would be very helpful, more helpful than most. You also need to be taking all of your aminos and boron and DHEA and vitamin K and vitamin D. So you can't just take calcium and expect the body to know what to do with it. If it doesn't have all those cofactors, it's not going to lay down new bone. So um, that's, keep those things in mind. And you can find the ratios. If I'm taking, boron, how much do I take? What about vitamin K? And on and on. Yeah, very, very important. All those things together. DHEA. Okay. And it'll take a while. I'm going to say 6 months to a year. And you can reverse some bone density problems. So, okay. Let's see here. Next, we have Dawn has another question. What do you think of Dr. Young's work in pH balancing as part of addressing cancer? Um, and then she says, were you talking about blood pH or urine pH? Is there a difference? Yes. I'm talking about blood pH, but you should be aware that every organ in the body has its preferred ideal pH. Generally speaking, the human body's pH should be between 6.8, which is slightly acid, to 7.2, which is slightly alkaline. If you're at 7, your pH is 7, you're neutral, and that's not good. There's no transactions happening. You need transactions happening in order to heal. pH was something that Dr. Gonzalez and Dr. Kelly both emphasized. You can't get anywhere without knowing how to shift your pH. If you do a liver flush, you're going to have a little course in shifting your pH. So, apple juice, fast food, Epsom salts just ferociously alkalinizes you, softens every tissue, every cell in your body. Okay? Cream does the exact opposite. So, yeah, lemon, citrus, all those things, those alkalinize you. Milk, and I'm talking about real milk, not the stuff at the store. I'm talking about unpasteurized, unhomogenized milk. Real milk is loaded with nutrients. It does acidify a little bit, but the stuff in the store, oh my. Let me not say anymore. They'll be getting upset with me. So, urine pH is something else. Your bladder should always be a little bit acid. If you do a pH test in your mouth, depending on how much you've been talking, how much mouth breathing you've been doing, it's going to affect that pH. Your blood pH is what you need to know. And it doesn't change quickly and easily. You can change it, but then it reverts if you go back to the same diet and habits, etc. Breath work alkalinizes you to a huge extent. So if you need temporary alkalinization for your kidneys or healing something, yeah, breath work, very powerful. And I have not read any of Dr. Young's work or looked at any of his videos. I'm not sure what he says, but I assume that he says some good things. And he's right. You can't heal if you don't know how to balance and change your pH. Okay? And then we have one more question. And this question comes from Rebecca. She says, can you offer a list of legitimate websites and authors that can help us with self-research? It can be difficult to determine if the information is legit. You know what, Rebecca? I would recommend that you get a copy of my book. I don't want to be selling my book here. Getting Well Naturally from the Soil to the Stomach. That book has a list of books in the back. It's a list of books that are absolutely wonderful when it comes to understanding the body. A number of them have a little asterisk, a little star in front of them. And that is my indicator that this is one to purchase and put on your shelf, your medical reference shelf. Every home should have a little library of a few reference books that you can go to, that you should have read in order to understand how you work. And those with the little asterisk in front of them are not only absolutely critical and have amazing information in them, they're typically easy to read. Okay. You don't get into a whole bunch of formulas and jargon um, and it's amazing what you can learn just reading the right books. So, and maybe some of those people have websites that you could check out and they would be legit. Okay. Okay. Let's call it good for this little section. Um, and I will be back with more question and answer stuff later. All right.